What's going on, everybody? Pat's Cosplay here. Today we're going to be reacting to the Odd Ones Out new video called Conventions. I Miss Them, because guess what? I miss them too. This video has only been out for about a day at the time of this recording, so it has quite a lot of views and quite a lot of buzz, and I just saw this and I was like, this looks absolutely amazing. I love his animation style and just his overall stories and how he directs everything. It's a really cool, fluid storyline. And before we get started, if you haven't already, leave this video a thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and make sure you check out the Odd Ones Out videos. He makes really cool videos. He has such a cool animation style. So without further ado, let's get into the video.
If you're one of those kids that spends too much time on that darn computer machine, then conventions are a great place to get the recommended amount of human interaction with others who share a similar interest.
Yo, honestly, this is so true. People do just sit down at the con and just kind of chill on their DS or their Switch or something and just kind of relax. It's such a cool, relaxing environment.
Or at least they were. You might have seen some conventions in the news recently, you know, the ones like VidCon, Comic-Con, and E3. But did you know there's conventions for all sorts of different things, like coin collecting, pens, and degenerates? The first convention I ever went to was in Arizona called Phoenix Comic-Con. I was 16 years old, and it, no exaggeration, changed my life. I had heard a lot about geek culture online, but Phoenix Comic-Con was the very first time I witnessed it in its fullest.
So, I had a very similar experience. I went to my first con about 5 years ago, and I instantly fell in love. I was always such like a huge nerd and somebody who loves this sort of like atmosphere and all this like geek culture. I love all of this. So when I saw that there was a con in close to my town, which was Toronto, I was like, I gotta go. I gotta try it out. And you know, the first year I went, I didn't cosplay, and now you see where I'm at.
I was a very sheltered kid. It was the first time I'd seen a brony and a furry and whatever this is in the wild.
Honestly, they have cool costumes, so I won't even lie. Like, they're cool.
I was told that it was not cool to like geeky things.
Yep, I was definitely laughed at like this. I did not get a lot of praise for liking nerdy shit, and like in Star Wars, like in Lord of the Rings, like in anything nerd related. They're like, just, you're a nerd, that's wrong. And I'm like, man, it's what I like, you know? It's cool to me. Leave me alone.
And as a 16-year-old, I tried really hard to make it seem like I didn't secretly like a bunch of...
Also I never really told anybody I made a YouTube channel for like the first 2 years, so it just was something I was always like shy about, so that is definitely something I've been through in my life.
Geeky things. But people at Comic-Con just embrace nerd culture, like they didn't care what people thought of them.
Honestly, it's such an opening environment. It really does allow anybody into its own like culture. It's really accepting. It's really, really cool. So when the cons start up again, try to get to one. It's really awesome and you will not regret it.
Or something. Is that allowed? I guess when I was 16, I was hyper desperate to receive everyone's approval. I was so hyper desperate that while walking around my first convention, I was stressing out that I wasn't in cosplay. Oh, all these pop culture characters are judging me because I'm not wearing any makeup. To this day, I still haven't ever cosplayed, but it looks like a lot of fun.
It is.
If I did cosplay, I would want to go as this quadrupedic horse.
All right.
Also Spark from Pokemon Go. I went to one panel called How to Make Steampunk Weapons, but instead of teaching us how to weld real-life weapons powered by steam, the people on the panel taught us how to paint Nerf guns to make them look like they were powered by steam. And that was, no exaggeration, the most disappointing panel I've ever been to. There was also a panel for bronies, but I was too chicken to go. Did I mention that my grandfather...
Hey man, you gotta do what you enjoy in life. You only have like this one life. Live it to its fullest, do what you want, and just, you know, if you want to go to bronies, go to the brony section. Why not, right?
Who I'm named after got drafted into World War II when he was 18. He fought in a war so I could go to a comic convention and be too nervous to talk to bronies.
Fair.
What a different life we had. At most conventions, people in the expo hall will sell a lot of super cool unlicensed merchandise.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of artists will sell prints and plushies and oven mitts with characters and titles they probably didn't get the license to sell. But if it's at a convention or on Etsy, then for some reason it's okay. I've always felt weird about buying that type of merch. On one hand, you shouldn't be allowed to make money off of someone else's intellectual property without the owner's consent. But on the other hand, look at this cool Bowser wallet, Bowser...
That's fair. It does kind of fall under the fair use category. It looks like him, but it's not quite him, so it's fair use. Anybody can not license it, but sell it. Technically, they could tell all of them to get out of the con and get rid of your merchandise. Technically, they could, but they allow it because it brings people into the convention, and, you know, I may want to buy this. It looks cool.
Print and Bowser bandana that I own. And this body pillow. It's a moral gray area
fair.
because
That's one thing I do not have is a body pillow. So, I mean, if anybody wants to send me a body pillow, I won't say no. So...
people buying this type of merch are the hardcore fans. They know of the property these characters came from. They probably already own licensed merch of the character. The artist isn't claiming to have created the character either. It's a mutual understanding between buyer and seller that we both think Bowser is cool and we just want to buy as much merch as possible. You kind of have to take it on a case-by-case basis, but let me just say this to get it out there. You're not allowed to sell bootleg Ones Out merch. Phoenix Comic-Con actually had to change the name of their convention to Phoenix Fan Fusion because the people at the San Diego Comic-Con didn't like that Phoenix was stealing their name. So these conventions that don't care about stealing other people's copyright are forcing others to respect their copyright.
Yeah, that sounds about right, because I actually remember this whole thing is so dumb. Like, they did not take on the name Comic-Con. Let's be real here. You can't take on a name like Comic-Con and just be like, it's ours. You can't use it. They didn't come up with the name Comic-Con. They did not. So, it's fair. It's fair use. It falls under that category.
Interesting. As some of you may know, since 2012, I have become a little more successful. And in 2019, I got invited to be a guest at Phoenix Fan Fusion, which is my home convention.
That's pretty cool.
The really crazy part is the convention put me in the celebrity line, like next to the people where you have to pay for photos and autographs. I didn't charge my fans for anything, so that made my line appear a lot longer than others. And my line was, no exaggeration, right next to Jeff Goldblum's line. I was gonna make eye contact with Jeff Goldblum. Jeff showed up for a couple hours on Saturday, and when he came out from backstage, everyone in his line and my line started wooing and clapping, and even I was like...
It's funny, I actually saw him at the Toronto Fan Expo last... Fan Expo? Yeah, Fan Expo when it was last on. I saw him, I was like, it's you. It's the dinosaur guy. That's him. I was so, like, starstruck. I just saw him in passing. I was like... He had, like, his really cool suit on. Oh, he was so nice. So cool to see him. Even just for a moment, it was cool to actually, like, see him.
Woo! And then Jeff took a look at my line, then looked at me, and then gave me a nod of approval, saying, not bad, kid. Nice. He didn't say it out loud, but I could tell he said it with his eyes. He also said that I looked kind of cute, so oh, thanks, Jeff. The first time I went to VidCon, that also, no exaggeration, changed my life.
Never been there, but I want to go.
It was the first time I met all these YouTubers that I've been watching for years, and, okay, I'll admit, at first I was kind of fanboy-y, but I've gotten completely desensitized meeting other YouTubers and feel no joy anymore. When I meet another YouTuber, I say, oh, you make videos in your bedroom? Me too. People know that you're a bedwetter too, right? No? That's just me then? If you've ever given me something at a convention... It's
true, everything will kind of, like, dumb down. Like, going the first time, it's going to be so amazing, everything's going to be perfect. About the 10th time you go to a convention, you're kind of like, you start to see the flaws, and you start to see like, oh, that line is just taking too long, it's too expensive, etc., etc. It just kind of adds up. So the first appeal of it is like super amazing, but after a while you kind of become like desensitized to it.
Then you'll be happy to know that I've kept everything I've ever been given. Unless you're the guy that gave me a plastic baggie full of water and other junk and called it a homemade snow globe. I used to collect snow globes, so it was a nice sentiment, but I didn't want to take it home with me and have it inevitably break and get all the important fan art wet. So I chucked it. And as I'm telling you this, there's some poor kid out there going, hey, he's talking about my snow globe. He threw it away? And now I feel bad.
But to be honest, he would have just been happy that he held it and showed it in a video, so he actually wouldn't have been that upset.
So...
Here, I'll mail this to you and you can get a taste of your own medicine.
I don't know why this is such a popular question, but a lot of times people will ask me, what's the weirdest fan interaction you've ever had? I think they think that some of you are cringy. I never have an answer for them because all my fans are super nice.
There's always cringy people, it's gonna happen.
Someone gave me a bag of water, but that's not weird, that's nice! Okay, I have received fan mail from a prison, which is true, so I guess some of you aren't law-abiding citizens. Going to conventions and meeting fans and being on panels is a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't give you a lot of time to really experience the convention.
just wants to
Since
be a brony.
2017, when I would go to a convention, it would mean I was working. I still had a fun time, but I didn't really get to just relax with friends. That is...
Yeah, see, once it becomes so large, you have such an audience, and you have such like a sort of like a hype to live up to. So I get that he's like gone through so much. He's seen the rise of his own channel, so he's like started from the bottom, and unfortunately now he's here. So he's like he sees it as a job, and personally, I never want to like see this as a job. I want to see this as like just something I do in my free time that I enjoy to do and make content for you guys. Like, I never want this to feel like a job. So I'm gonna try my best.
Is until I went to a convention last December called MFF, which stands for Midwest Fur Fest. Now, James, did you go to a furry convention? Well, I went with some friends to a furry convention so that I could actually enjoy a convention.
Honestly, furry costumes are so freaking cool. Like, the design of their suits are so amazing. Like, their mouth moves and stuff. It's such like a cool thing to look at. And I would love to see how they're made. And I would honestly go to one. Like, I would like dress up in the costume because it actually looks kind of cool. Just, I don't know, it looks like a cool costume, right?
And not have to work. Although I still got recognized even though I was wearing a disguise. Furries are very touchy people, I've learned.
Yeah.
Not touchy as in overly sensitive. Well, some probably are. But they're also literally touchy. Let me tell you where I'm at in my life right now. Last December, I was in an elevator full of furries, and if my grandpa could see me now, he would probably be frowning. Or smiling, I don't know, I don't judge. We were all crowded in. There was a moose breathing down my neck. And we stopped at a floor because more furries wanted to come in. So I backed up to make more room, but I backed up a little too close to the moose, and he grabbed my hips, and I went, ah! In my mind. I didn't say it out loud. In real life, I went... So that was probably the weirdest fan experience I've had, if you were still wondering. I don't know.
That is pretty strange, not gonna lie. That is really strange. I know, okay, so for those of you who do not know what a furry is and don't really know like what they do, if you ever hear them make the yiff sound, Y-I-F-F, that's like a sex noise. So just like understand that that's what they're doing, and if you don't feel comfortable, say that to them. Be like, I did not feel comfortable you saying that, pointed in my direction, because like they're still people. So, like, they're going to, like, stop, but just, you know, stand your ground.
I don't know if he was a fan of my YouTube, but he was definitely a fan of my body. Or he was drunk. I don't know. Again, I don't judge. I was debating on whether or not I should include this story, but I think it would be a good lesson for everyone to hear. Here's my James PSA. This message is for everyone, and especially furries. Don't touch people without their permission. In the moment, I stayed quiet, but that sort of behavior isn't okay and I should have spoken out. Hopefully, most of you are mindful of other people's personal space. However, at least one of you went to prison, so I don't know. Overall, it was the best ironic trip ever. At the end of the day, conventions are a lot of fun, and I really, really miss going to them. And when it's safe to do so again, I recommend you try and go to one you're interested in. And Grandpa, I'm sorry if I disappointed you.
I agree. If you ever have the chance to go to a convention, just go. They're pretty inexpensive. They're like anywhere from $30 to $100, and it really is an awesome experience. You get to see a bunch of cool cosplayers. You get to see a bunch of panels if you're interested in that. You get to meet famous artists, famous actors, and just kind of like interact with them. It does sometimes cost money to meet those people. Last convention, I got to meet the voice of Goku, Sean Chamel, and he was a very nice person. He was kind of quiet. That was the only thing that I kind of noticed. And I think that was because I didn't purchase anything. But he was a little bit just quiet, and I just kind of wanted to, like, hear him talk. And I know this kind of sounds weird, but, like, I've watched him since I was, like, a small child. So, like, I've kind of lived with the voice in my mind. So it was cool to meet the person to the voice, you know? So this was a really cool breakdown of what conventions are like. It is a very open and welcoming place. It's often filled with really cool art, really cool costumes, cool people, very, like, again, just open community that will, like, let you in and be yourself. But that is going to wrap up today's video. If you haven't already, leave this video a thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and make sure you guys check out the Odd Ones Out content. I'll leave a link in the description to this video and his channel. Show him some love and support. Really cool content, especially if you love animation. But thank you guys for watching, and have a great day. Peace.